Why did we need to change sessions and everything? Alright. Hopefully this is the last time that we have to change sessions. I hope this is the last time. Game is just being a bit of a dick, but anyways. But no, I'm not muted. But anyways, welcome to BPRL Season 4 pre-season race in Great Britain. Well, obviously it says that pre-season, but some probably new faces, and a lot of drivers have moved to different teams. I can already now say that the Red Bull lineup has not changed at all. Uh, Reggie and Shaza have stayed in the Red Bull. Then I need to go take a look at the lineups. Then for Ferrari there is Noyes, who moved from Alpine. Now he is in the Ferrari. Coke has stayed in the Ferrari. Then it's Matt has moved from Ferrari to Mercedes. Um, and Tur has stayed in the Mercedes. In the Alpine, it looks like Holtz and George in, in the Alpines. So the Alpine lineup has changed. Both of the drivers has been changed. McLaren, they have gone with Volta and F1 Lewis R. Volta moving from Mercedes and F1 Lewis R moving from Aston Martin to McLaren. Um, and the Alpine pair, George, I think he was a reserve, and then Holtz has moved from McLaren to Alpine. Alfa Romeo, Jovi has stayed in the Alfa Romeo, still staying with the Italian team. But we have a new face in the Alfa Romeo lineup. That is Luke for UK, who has moved from McLaren to Alfa Romeo. Then, Jesus Christ, why so many invites? Then in the Haas, there is Gravitz, or Hennessy. In Haas has moved from the Williams team to Haas, but Diego has stayed. Stack I think he's the new or the guy that has been reserve, like overall reserve. Now he's in the AlphaTauri. And the second driver in the AlphaTauri is Gravidis, and he has stayed. In the Aston Martin, it looks like Albo and in BB8 Dog. So BB8 Dog has moved from AlphaTauri to Aston Martin, which seems to be a downgrade. And Albo, if I remember right, he was a reserve, and now he's in the Aston Martin. And then the final team, Williams, with Lamas, and they have stayed with High. So High has stayed, and Lamas has gone from the McLaren to Williams. Um, yeah, so that's the lineup for the season 4 in the first division of BPRL. Um, yeah, the only team that has not changed at all is Red Bull, and the only teams that have changed completely are Alpine. Like the completely, I mean by like both drivers are new. Alpine, McLaren, and Aston Martin. So it's going to be an interesting fight. I would say already between Reggie and Noise, since well Reggie obviously because he has won or already 3 championships in a row in 3 seasons of BPRL. So he's going to be definitely the championship contender. But then there is Noise, who in the Alpine has gotten a a P2 in the no actually no he was third. Wait, he was actually third I think. Um, yeah, he was actually third, but just 11 points behind Shazza. But still, he was ahead of both of the Mercedes drivers and the Ferrari drivers. So and he's now in the faster car in the Ferrari, so I would expect him to be in the championship fight with Reggie. Maybe Matt is gonna do something in the Mercedes. Um, and maybe Shazza is gonna have a better time in this season. Maybe Coke as well, but we will see. We will see what's gonna happen. I still believe that I still predict that the Red Bull Red Bull team is gonna get the constructors this year because well, Shaza has been cons- consistent. It's like it's like Verstappen and Perez in the real life, like Reggie being Max Verstappen and then Shaza being uh, Sergio Perez or Checo basically his nickname. But um, should be starting quite soon, I would believe. I don't know why, but there are some reserves in the preseason. I mean, it's only pre. I mean, it's preseason, so nothing matters actually here. It's just a fun race, basically. You could say it's just a warm up race to get to know with the car or well the drivers that haven't changed their teams. Well, they are just doing this for fun or something like that. I'm just doing this because why not? I'm just commentating, and I could have just maybe easily um just not I could have just not come in here because well it's preseason, so not that many things will actually matter in this race. Only like who's gonna be what uh, people's paces around here. But yeah, anyways, only 15 people, so it's short quality 50% race in the Silverstone um, track in UK, or more specifically Great Britain, because with UK is the whole union between England, Wales, Scotland, still, and Northern Ireland. But then Great Britain is the island with England, Wales, and Scotland. But I think there should be. Um, I, I don't I don't I don't know. I don't know what to talk about honestly. I mean, I have already predicted the who, who's gonna be fighting for the championships. It's gonna be Reggie and Noise, mo- mostly. Then for the constructors, I still think it's gonna be Red Bull. Well, Ferrari they have Noise, but they Ferrari have as well Coke, which in the time while I was commentating, his performances haven't been that great in terms of like driving that Ferrari, which is first in the performance charts. But sometimes highly think that it's not. It's actually Red Bull, but the game just doesn't allow it. It just doesn't show it. Um, but um, yeah, there are some reserves. Levy in the McLaren, Peart in the Alpine, F1 Lewis 4 in the Mercedes. Mm, and Laziri in the Aston Martin. Well, in that in the round 15, season 3, Bahrain, Laziri didn't show that great of a performance by him. Um, but maybe he can change it. Hopefully, hopefully he can change it. But we will see. And also Hype is in here, but wait, Hype isn't. Wait. Wait, hype. Wait, I need to check hype. Where the hell? No, there's no hype in this season 4 lineup. Oh yeah, because he's mostly driving in the prestige um, division. But as it looks like we're going. There hasn't been any announcement that we should be going, but alright. Anyways, as a, by the looks of it, this session has started, and the season 4 season has started as well. But maybe not officially because it's pre-season, but you know. uh, um, but now since there has been a new update to the F1 game, now you can actually change the tire accolation or whatever, or however is it spelled. Basically, do you want softer, which means you have 4 softs, the balance, which means that you have 3 softs and 1 medium, or harder, which means you have, I think, 3 softs, 1 hard. Yeah, I think that's how it is. I think, I think that's how it or how it is gonna go. But the game is surprising. But as the biter can't speak. I can't speak, guys. Sorry, but as by the looks of it, it is raining here in Silverstone. So the qualifying session is gonna be interesting, but maybe there won't be any rain in the race. Well, probably for the drivers, it hopefully there won't be any rain. But for us spectators, obviously we want rain because it's gonna be interesting. As by the looks of it, well, even if we look at the rain and the track, even in the pit lane, we can see that it's not even that much raining. It is raining, but not enough for the wet tires. As okay, actually, it doesn't look that okay. Actually, I can't tell a difference. No wait, because no wait, no because in the wet conditions there are goddamn puddles. But anyways, the first driver to be now out on track is Diego. Then behind him, it's Jovi. Then behind Jovi, it's Matt. And then behind him there is there is Kravitz. I have already talked about the driver moves, but I'm gonna talk about it again. So Red Bull, oh, some problems with Shazza. Oh, as there's a McLaren sitting on those levees, just randomly being outside of his track. But with the drivers changes through the teams, Red Bull has stayed the same. Ferrari, don't get confused with Hype. He's just a reserve right now for the right now for Ferrari in this preseason. But the official lineup for Ferrari, it's Noise and Coke. Mercedes have Matt and Tur. Then Alpine have George and Holtz, I think, if I remember right. Then oh, Luke has already spun out of Luffield. I think that's the corner name, Luffield. But he has already broken his front wing, so this is the first crash in season 4. But as was talking about, but let's get back to the driver lineups. So McLaren have signed F1 Lewis R, has lost control of his car going into the second corner. Luckily he missed the wall by just a few centimeters, or foot if you're one of those people. But he has missed the wall, which is obviously good. But in the McLaren, F1 was R, and can't remember the goddamn lineup. I can't remember the lineup. Let me get the. It was Volta and F1 Lewis R. Then in the Alfa Romeo, it's Jovi and Luke. In Haas, there's Kravitz and Diego. AlphaTauri has Stack and Gravidi. Aston Martin has Albo and BBA Dog. And Williams have Lamas and High. So those are the lineup for the first division. As Diego finishes his lap 140.995. Then then it's gonna be, I think, Matt who's gonna finish his time. He is gonna go 7/10 faster than Diego, but in the background, Kravitz has gone about more than 8 tenths faster. But out of the final corner, he has spun, which probably he could gain more time on his lap, but that has got him now first position. Pete goes second, Jovi goes fifth with 141.112, and Pete goes second with 139.434. As more drivers are gonna finish their laps George goes P1 139.232. I think Lewis is on a lap as he goes fourth 139.737. Half a second. Well, he goes ahead of his own teammate. As there are yellow flags, that is should be going slowly, letting drivers pass, I believe. But he has to now go very slowly and cut the corner, as he would have been on the apex of Brooklands, I think. I can't remember those corner names, but we see a spinner going into Maggots and Beckett's. That is Kravitz, or maybe a spinner. We don't know. I think again a spinner. No, Lesnar is just going very slowly, but weaving strangely. But he's not messing up any driver's time, so that's good. Both Red Bulls not looking very great, as both of them have invalidated their times. Reggie into the pits, and Shaza, well, I guess he'll maybe go into the pits as well, but he has ERS, and I don't see any of the fuel indicator that he's low on fuel. No, he doesn't go back into the pits. Noise goes P1 138.325. That is, well, now 7 tenths faster than F1 Lewis. Noise on his debut for the Ferrari, for the Prancing Horses, has gone already 7 tenths ahead of Lewis, and almost 9 tenths ahead of George, who has spun out of turn 5. Not even, I don't, out of turn 5, but just to let other drivers through, obviously, because some may be on a lap. F1 Lewis is not on a lap, since, well, he doesn't have much ERS, and he has already invalidated his own time. But there's George has again spun. Luckily, did not collect Lewis. That was very close, as Shaza has crashed out. What has happened to Shaza? We must look at the onboard with Luke right now. He is on the left-hand side of the old pitch straight, or start-finish straight. So this is already a disappointment, or I wouldn't say disappointment, but just not good start for the Red Bull team in this pre-season round. As Reggie as well has to still set a time. Many yellow flags. What is happening going into Stowe? Well, I have no idea. Oh, this. Okay. And there goes one of the boards. Kravitz has gone P2 1/10, only 1/10 behind Noise in the Haas, so that's looking very good for him in his debut in the American team. He said earlier that Haas drives worse than the Williams, but we will see with his results later on in the season. George is not improving. 8 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in this short qualifying. Still yet to do a lap are Reggie, who has spun out of Stowe, and well, he was a long way off from hitting the wall, but now he has to let through F1 Lewis. Ooh, that was really close by Reggie. That was very close by Reggie. He almost F1 Lewis almost hit Reggie, as Lewis goes P6 139.7. But that was very dangerous by Reggie by rejoining the track. Almost got collected by Lewis. But Reggie starting his first flying lap, or maybe the second, as he's a bit of a slide going through turn 3. But it still looks good, or semi-good at least. Obviously this is short qualifying, so every lap matters. Yellow flag sector 1, that is a Haas of Kravitz going slowly, maybe spun. He has to watch out for the Red Bull behind him to let him through, as he let him through comfortably. Reggie doesn't seem to have made any mistakes whatsoever, only the little slide into turn 3. Not invalidating his lap yet. Second sector looks good. Purple second sector. Obviously it depends if it's really true or not. As we go through Stove, he had some problems earlier, as he has again problems, as he does a Max Verstappen. He does a 360, and he goes straight into the pits. With only 6 minutes to go, so he will only have one flying lap remaining, I believe. Hybe now through the final corner. He goes through the line and he goes P6 139.589. Yellow flags in first few couple of corners. That is Kravitz going slowly. 5 sec. Matt goes P3 138.694 as Hype has spun out of turn 5. He has to look for the Mercedes behind him, who has as well spun in the same place as Hybe. Now he has to look at the Alpine behind him, but he was on an out. Luckily, he was on an out lap, and not on an actual lap. But still, it's a little bit dangerous there, as Laziri has retired. Oh, and in the background goes again Kravitz, as we were looking at Luke. But Laziri has retired just like that. I don't get it, but alright. Yeah, the same issue is still the same, that it just randomly takes out the outlap banner. Like, Luke is on an outlap, but it doesn't say that he's on an outlap. Kravitz just letting through drivers, or the two Mercedes ones, so nothing to worry about there. Noise coming out of his pit box. I wouldn't say finally, but at the same time I have no other word to say about it. No real other word to say about it. Reggie's still in the pit, so like I said, he's only gonna have one flying lap to go, if he's gonna go, obviously. Lamas on a lap. He has to at least, if he wants to get into the top 10 with the Williams, he has to beat Jovi 139.993, and he will probably want to do better than that. As the yellow flags, that is a McLaren of Lewis. And maybe he was just going slowly. But Lamas, now he goes through Stove. He goes 6th gear, so he's going very safely. Now through the final chicane and 2 final corners, he doesn't spin, and he comes through the line. He is gonna go P6 139.315. I said that that he will obviously want to do better than just make it into the top 10, as Diego goes P9 139.660. The midfield looks very tight from Jovi to Lewis. Approximately 1 second from 4th to 11th. So this grid is very tight as of right now. Noise on he started his lap. Maybe his final flying lap, but we will see later on. Reggie finally out of the pits. Matt has retired, so he's already out of qualifying. Noise, we will see his first sector. We will follow him through the first sector, if he's gonna improve or not. First sector looks to be not improvement. No, he's not even using ERS, so he's finalizing his final lap and preparing for that final lap. As well as Reggie needs to up a bit just to do a lap. I would say he just needs to do some kind of lap. I mean, but as well, in the midfield there can be some weird things happening, which obviously would not be ideal if you are like Reggie. But this is only preseason, so none of the actual win or podium that you will get in this race will that really, they won't matter for the championship. But I mean, it will be good to have. Mercedes of F1 Lewis has retired as well, so both our Mercedes are out. Where has he? Oh, strange place to retire, to crash out. But George goes before, and he invalidates his as well. Maybe would have been the final flying lap, but he's already out. Noise finally starting his lap, or the final lap, as well as Reggie. Noise through the first sector improves by 1.5 tenths. Reggie, is he gonna improve through the first sector? I mean, we won't see if he's gonna improve or not because he hasn't set a time, but we will see what his sectors will be. In the background, a Alfa Romeo has spun, that is Jovi, and Luke as well is gonna be out since he has no one part of his front wing. Noise, we will go through with him through Max and Beckett's, see if he's improving through the second sector. Oh, he had a bit of a slide, as he has a bigger of a slide, and his lap is ruined already. I think the only driver who can beat him is Reggie. Hype goes 5th, 120, 38.895. As he goes through the second sector, it is 1 minute 11.1. There was a AlphaTauri in the middle of the road, crashed out, but that hasn't that much lost time for Reggie. But now he goes through the final corners, through the line. He spins going into the final. I can't speak, okay? I can't speak today. But he goes into pole position, 137.970. We could have seen how much he was pushing to that final sector and to the final corners as he spun going through the finish line. And Diego is not improving, and this is qualifying done. Reggie in the pole position. Noise, I was talking about him, he is close there, he's up there, and he's second. Kravitz third in his Haas, Matt fourth, George fifth, Hype 6th, Lewis 7th, Pete 8th, Lamas 9th, Lewis 10th, closes off the top 10. Diego has desync, I think, because he's still going, and he crossed the line. So something is happening to Diego. But Diego 11th, Joey 12th, Luke 13th, Lebby 14th, Laziri 15th, Shaza 16th as he early crashed out in the qualifying. Gravity 17th as well crashed out, but later on. But I think Shaza is gonna start 16th and Gravity 17th because Shaza has a lower number as random. What? Okay, that makes sense. Just that tire just randomly went off. But yeah, Reggie on pole position, Noise second, Kravitz third, Matt fourth, George fifth, Hype sixth, Lewis seventh, Pete eighth, Lamas ninth, and Lewis in the McLaren closes off the top 10. And Diego 11th, both Alfa Romeos in 12th and 13th, Levy 14th, Lazimi 15th, Shazza 16th, and Gravity says 17th. So this is the grid order for the race. And now we should be going to the race, but it doesn't look like that we're going, since probably this game is weird. But yeah, as we go to the race, I don't think it should be raining, but we will see. Um, no, it's not. It's very sunny, so the race shouldn't be. Um, so the race should be quite quiet in terms of like rain and chaos because many people are spinning, but well, many things can happen. Um, but as we will shortly start the formation lap, we will see what tires all the drivers have went on. So the tires are George were basically both Alpines, Laziri, Shaza and Graviti on the hards, and the rest of the drivers are on, well, he's stuck, but everyone else is on mediums besides both of the Alpines, Laziri, Shaza and Graviti. But obviously those hards are gonna be harder to get the tires up to temperature, but it's gonna be easier to get them now, since, well, you can just easily get them warmed up, and you're still gonna be going into the grid slots, while if you're basically the rest of the drivers, you're gonna have to pit for the hards, and those hards on 70 degrees, they're gonna be very cold and very hard to warm up, and you're gonna lose so much pace. But basically the top 4 drivers know that, and all of them went for the mediums, so, and I don't really expect George to be up there, but but we will see. We will see. I'm not saying anything like sure right now, as the drivers will slot up into the grid slots in a few moments, as we see that many drivers are trying to get the tires up to temp, the optimal temp. F1 Lewis got disqualified, but these disqualifications are just by missing the grid slots. I can already confirm that. Where's the good cam for the lights? There is none. There's really none. Really. Well, this, I guess. But this camera is very shaky. It's shaking a lot. As the race should be going on in 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and lights out, and away we go in this pre-season Great Britain Season 4. Noise got a really good start, but Reggie still holds the P1, as there are a lot of dust at the back, but Reggie keeps his first position. Hype is fighting with Kravitz. I think they made contact, and that is Hype spinning. He's now down to P15, but Noise will try to pressurize Reggie going into here, into turn 6. Both Alfa Romeos are last places, which is a disaster for the second Italian team. But Lamar's up to 5th already in his Williams. What a beautiful start by him. But there are more scraps behind, as Lewis has re-overtaken, I think, Diego to be back at P7, as now Lewis is trying to overtake Pete going into Maggots and Beckett. They're going side by side 3 years. But Lewis is ahead of Pete. Pete obviously struggling with his hard tires. At first, these hard tires are going to be obviously slower. The top 4 has kept their positions, but Pete is still fighting with Lewis, as Pete has gone a bit wide, lost the rear, but just very nicely saved it. Diego already going into the pits, and Hybe at the back has already spun and is out of the race. So these first laps of this race were very exciting, even though this pre-season. But top 4 have kept their positions. Nothing have changed in here. But going into the midfield, Lamas has gained 4 positions. George has lost 1 position. Pete has gained 1 position. Levy has gained 6. Shaza, who was 16th, now he is 9th, so he gained 7 positions. Lewis has stayed in the same position. Laziri has gained 4 positions. Both of the AlphaTauri drivers have gained 5 positions, but then at the back, F1 Lewis has gained lost 7 positions, as Noise has lost 2 places to Matt and Kravitz. Matt, I think, got an excellent restart of that VSC, and Noise got a horrible one, and Kravitz has stayed in P3, so he's in the, I would say, optimal place. But Kravitz looks to be fast. He's trying to send it into the final corners, maybe trying to do a switchback. No, he's not doing it. So Matt has stayed in the P2, as Lewis in the McLaren has gone into the pits. Graffiti has spun out of the final corner, so that's a disaster for him. But this, ooh, I think Noise was trying to send it into turn 4. Now he's getting attacked by Williams, the best car versus the worst car. Very interesting in here. Fighting for P4, which for a Williams is not very usual these days. It's great to see a Williams up here in this fight, but Noise lost more positions and more. Well, actually, he didn't lose any more positions after that restart, but just lost massive amount of time. Reggie already creating a gap between himself and Matt, as Matt and Kravitz were fighting through Marcus and Beckett. Maybe that was one of the reasons why they were losing so much time. But Kravitz up to P2 and Matt down to P3, as at the back both of the Alpines on the hards are having a beautiful, a really good race. But while I was trying to talk about that, Pete has spun out of the stove and Lepi got caught up in that incident. Laziri as well going ahead of Pete. Man, while I was trying to talk about that, how both the Alpine drivers were having a beautiful race, even though they were on the hards, now it just went to the drain as Pete has spun. Well, luckily George is still up there, as Lamas gets 3 seconds already in lap 4. Noise has got up to Matt, so he's looking quite fast in here, but just made a couple of mistakes in this first couple of laps. But yeah, while I was talking, Reggie still keeping that gap between himself and Kravitz pretty much the same. At the back, Pete and Laziri are finding a bit of a scrap at the back for 11th. As Laziri is trying to make two side by side with Pete going into the Magnus and Beckett, as at the time Laziri and F1 Lewis got 3-second time penalties. Noise already ahead of Matt, so Matt up to P3 and Matt back to P4 where he started. The gap between Reggie and Kravitz has gone a bit up, but now again a bit down. So I guess Reggie is gaining a lot through this in the straights, but Kravitz is gaining in the corners. So Kravitz is gonna have a harder time to overtake him if he wants to overtake him, obviously, in the straights, since Reggie has better pace on the straights. As at the very back, oh, Luke is in the AI mode, I guess, so he's... I was gonna talk about the fight between Luke and Diego, but I guess Luke has left, so not really much of a entertainment there, I guess. Diego already 3 seconds. This race has calmed down a bit. Just not... Drivers are close to each other, but just not close enough to make an overtake. Shaza already up to P7 from P16. He's a bit struggling for the grip, I think. It just seemed like it. And those hearts. I don't know, there's George. who has already caught up to Lamas in that Williams. Um, obviously Lamas has the medium tires, but George has the better car. Alpine being in that midfield battle in the performance charts, while Williams is a bit down the road in last. Matt already picked up 3 seconds, so a lot of penalties in this race. Surprisingly, or a bit surprisingly, as Luke got overtaken by Van Lewis, but that's obviously Luke in the AI mode, or has left. I don't know. Noise has caught up just a tiny bit to Kravitz, I think, but he's still not quite close enough to Kravitz to get that DRS. But Noise has a lot of DRS compared to Kravitz, who, well, he has still like somewhat of that DRS, but just doesn't have that much of it. And Reggie is like in the middle of those two. But Noise has caught up a bit. George has caught up more and overtaken Lamas into Stowe. Now Shaza is gonna be behind Lamas. He has to overtake him quick if he wants to overtake George as quick as possible. But Lamas is still looking very racy with George. George doesn't have much ERS, well, nothing, pretty much. As well, at the back, Shaza almost hit Lamas, but nothing happened, luckily. Now Lamas is gonna have the DRS going to the Wellington straight, and he's catching up more and more, but he's not sending it on the inside of George. But Shaza is trying to go on the inside of Lamas now, and he has overtaken him, going into the old pit straight. So that's him up to P6. F1 Lewis, for some reason, he's 17th behind Luke. That's just game doing its classics. But George going a bit wide on that last section of corners. Shaza activating the RS and easily overtaking him around the outside. Maybe not that easily actually, but around the outside of George going into Stowe, and he has overtaken him, and Shaza already up to P5, 8 laps, and he's already up to P5, so his pace is looking quite strong as the leader of this race has gotten a 3-second time penalty, and he has almost spun at the same time. So that will gift Kravitz and Noise a bit time that they have lost. But Noise has caught up to Kravitz to that DRS zone. Lamas as well got overtaken by F1 Lewis. Leby gets a 3-second time penalty. So actually a lot more penalties that I would expect in these first 8 laps. Dietrich as well in 10th after starting last in the AlphaTauri. That's really good for him. These drivers at the back, which are, well, Ziri, Gravidi, Jovi, and Diego, and F1 Lewis. Well, Luke is in the eye, so I'm not including him. But those drivers that I included, they need a safety car so that they could catch up to the rest, like Pete, Dietrich, Leby. Well, at least those drivers. As Lewis and George are having a bit of a scrap going into the sector 3. Now Lewis has spun out of the final corner. I think as well George got pushed off a bit wide, but Lewis lost it all. going through that last corner, and he's now down to 11th, and he's again a victim of, well, spinning. Well, he has already, well, he has left the session, so rage quit. Definitely rage quit. So he's gonna be down with Luke in some laps when Laziri, Graviti, Jovi, Diego, and F1 Lewis are gonna catch to him. But Reggie has gotten the gap bigger and bigger as the race went on longer and longer. The gap is already big enough that he's gonna keep that P1, even though he has that 3-second time penalty. But Reggie has completely deployed all of his ERS, so he has none ERS left anymore, as Noise in the meanwhile has overtaken Kravitz even before going into Stove. So Noise, as Reggie goes with the fastest lap, but Noise is gonna have to catch up to Reggie, at least to that 3 seconds, as we see a first driver to go into the pits. Well, like to the pits, but Levy at the same time got a 5 seconds for that, for spitting in the pit lane, maybe forgetting that it's 60 kilometers per hour and not 80 in like most of the tracks. So he's gonna have that 8 seconds. Now Laziri gets another 3 seconds of time penalties. Many drivers have 6 seconds already, as F1 Lewis, well, he's on an AI, but Laziri and Diego have 6 seconds. Matt as well has 6 seconds of time penalties. So as if the race would end now, Shaza has spun out of Corps. So he will be down the order as well. He's now down to 7th, but Dietrich, I think he will get him. No, he won't, but he may have the DRS. But Shaza, who has been having a monster of a race for him in these few laps, he has gone down the order to 7th, as we see the three drivers out of the top 4 has gone to the pits. Noise has stayed out. Reggie, obviously, to the hard tires, has been maybe a bit held, just a tiny bit held up by Kravitz. Kravitz as well onto the hards. Well, everyone going into the hards, obviously. That are pitting. Dietrich is going to be as well onto hards. Well, yeah, like I said, everyone who is going to be pitting is... That is a virtual safety... No! That is a full safety car! What has happened? Well, Jovi doesn't have a front wing. What has happened? Oh, F1 was doing an interesting tactic to overtake a Sebastian Vettel tactic on Diego. But what has happened? Why is there a safety car? I mean, Jovi had his front wing damaged completely, but no retirement, no nothing. But that has gifted a free pit stop for Noise, and that may have gifted him the lead of the race. Ladies and gentlemen, that may have gifted the lead of the race, as that one extra lap that he has gone to has gifted him the race lead. George, I don't think he will pit. No, he pits. Lamas as well. Noise, I think he's gonna be at a... Oh, George got 5 seconds for spinning in the pit lane. Noise just as well going into the pits as Pete. He has 5 seconds. But Noise... Yes, he will get the race lead. George going onto the softs? What? Softs? Sorry, I almost had to sneeze. But Noise, for the third time that I'm saying this, he is up to P1 as Laziri got disqualified for going the wrong way. No, 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 he. What was he trying to do? Did he actually miss the pit lane and try to reverse into there? Mate. But Noise up to P1 after being gifted because of a safety car, which I still don't understand, but alright. Reggie down to P2. Kravitz down to P3. George up to P4, but he's on the softs, which I don't understand. He could kind of make the mediums go to the end, but softs won't go. Definitely not. Lamas up to P5. F1 Lewis in the AI, well, he hasn't bid it. Shazza has stayed in 7th. Pete up to 8th. Dietrich up to 9th. Libby 10th. Gravity 11th. And that what has happened to Matt? He's down to 12th. And he's on the softs as well. What the... but this is given the opportunity for the likes of Jovi, Diego, F1 Lewis, Matt, Gravity, and all of these other drivers to catch up. As what is happening? What is happening? Why has George? He has got a drive-through for what the hell is he doing? I don't understand. What was he trying to do? Well, Matt is into the pits probably because of the... He pitted onto the wrong tires maybe. But... What was George trying to do? To overtake... Well, he is getting a drive-through. He's gonna serve his... Noise has left the session. That's a disaster for him. That's all I can say. That's a disaster for him. To fight for the win. He's gotten this gift of a safety car by staying one lap longer, and now the game probably decided to just kick him or something with maybe connection issues or something that just happened. And he has now left the session. McLaren drivers. Levy was off track. Well, that was interesting. And Pete trying to overtake F1 Lewis. All right, very interesting. Not much happening. As well, basically, we're under the safety car. Nothing much happening, but obviously. But many penalties in this race were given. Reggie, 3 seconds. Lamas, 6 seconds. Shazza has 3 seconds. Lewis, 6 seconds. Pete has 5 seconds. F1 Lewis has 3 seconds. Diego has 11 seconds. As Kravitz, what has happened to Kravitz? What has happened to him? He's now down to 12. What has happened to him? What? What the? What? Wait, what? And Pete in the what? Pete in the pits? Kravitz in the pits? What has happened between those two? Okay, so there's a front wing change for Kravitz. And I think no, Pete was serving his 5 seconds. But what has happened under the safety car? Mate. Well, I guess Lamas is up to third, Sheza up to fourth, Lewis up to fifth. The the AlphaTauri pairs have started last and second to last are now sixth and seventh. F1 Lewis up to eighth. Well, almost hitting Gravity. Diego up to ninth, Lepi up to 10th, Matt up to 11th, Joey up to 12th. But both of the Alpines, who were 5th, I think, 5th and 6th, in like lap 3 or 4, now they are 14th and 6th. 16th. But the penalties, F1 Lewis has 3 seconds, Diego has 11 seconds, Levi has 8 seconds, Matt has 6 seconds, Joey has 3 seconds, and George has, well, drive through, but I think he has like another 3 seconds, I believe. I don't know, but safety car is in this lap. The AI of noise is gonna control the pace. As Diego has spun under the safety car and he has broken his front wing, so that's a disaster for another Haas driver, as George had to let him go, completely stopping. Maybe that will ruin his safety car restart to catch up to the field, as both of noise will go shortly, and Dietrich already overtaking F1 Lewis under the safety car. But as the race has restarted, Reggie will immediately overtake the eye of noise. Immediately. As Kravitz had some problems on the safety car restart, as he dropped massively. Shaza already up to third, but that's the same reason. Dietrich already up to fifth. Lewis up sixth. Matt already overtaking his own teammate, the AI. But Williams in the second place, that's very weird to see. Genuinely. But that's George. Why has George again gone into the pits? Someone tell me. I don't know. But as Dietrich is overtaking the AI of noise, and as well as F1 Lewis will overtake him shortly, going into the Max and Beckett's. Shaza is trying to overtake Lamas as quickly as possible to do a Red Bull 1-2 in this race. Lamas has as well 6 seconds. Both of the Red Bulls have only 3 seconds, so that's even better for them, as Shaza easily overtakes Lamas before Stowe. F1 Lewis overtakes Dietrich around the outside of going into Stowe. Dietrich is still trying to overtake Lewis into the final corner, but couldn't do it there. As there are many AIs getting overtaken. But this is a perfect race for the Red Bull team and for the Red Bull guys, as Pete and Joey are having a bit of a scrap going into the turn 4 and 5, but Pete has overtaken him and Joey spins on himself on the exit of turn 5, and he's now down to 12. But a disaster for him as well. Matt trying to around the outside of turn 7 on Dietrich, but he overtook him quite easily, I would say. Maybe not that easy, but looked easy, I can say. But Lamas still in third. Obviously 3-second gap already from him to Shaza, as the Red Bull guys are looking to just run away. But maybe there will be some racing between these two, because we want to see it. and in the preseason there are no points awarded. I don't think. So it would be very good if there would be some fights between these two. But we will see later on. More penalties awarded to the drivers. DRS has been enabled. Lap 17 out of 26, so 9 laps remaining in this race. Shaza looking that he has better pace than Reggie, but he's obviously on the fresher mediums, while Reggie is on the hards. Lamas is probably gonna be in a few moments a sitting duck, getting overtaken into the Hanger Straight, maybe even earlier than Hanger Straight by F1 Lewis and Matt. But we will see later on, as Lewis already trying to overtake Lamas going into Cops. They didn't make any contact, luckily, but Lewis already up to third, overtaking Lamas going into the Cops. And Lamas has got another 3-second time penalty. Shaza looking racy with Reggie, trying around the outside of Cops, but he has spun it, he has binned it, going into Cops. He has binned it, and he's gonna be now down to many places, as there are more fights behind, as Dietrich was trying to overtake Lamas. Matt is down to 10th. What has happened with him? As Kravitz has spun, I can't even keep up. What is happening? Shaza again being spun. Graffiti off track. Pete doesn't have a piece of his front wing. Levy up to 5th. Dietrich up to 4th. And there's a full safety car. What has happened in this? What has happened? I couldn't even keep up myself. Reggie is still in first, but F1 Lewis up to 2nd, Lamas 3rd, and Dietrich 4th, Lippi 5th, Gravity 6th, Matt 7th, Shaza 8th, Kravitz 9th with no front wing. Shaza, he's still it shows that he has still pieces of his front wing. Matt is the same. Jovi as well, it looks like that he has his whole front wing. But Pete doesn't, well, he already doesn't have any front wing at all. And Tego being far behind, as well as George. As Kravitz has left the session, so more drivers leaving the session, probably rage quitting. The only who didn't rage quit is probably Noise. I don't think that he would just leave like that from the lead. I don't think. But safety car has gone out, and Reggie goes on to into the pits to pit for the soft tires. It's going 62 kilometers. Weird. Lewis goes into the pits. Lamas doesn't. Dietrich goes in. Lebby as well. Gravity goes in. Matt goes in. Kravitz, obviously. Pete as well. He gets 5 seconds, as well as Lebby go one. Shaza has stayed out. Lamas, I already talked about him. He has stayed out as well. Some drivers pitting for the medium tires. Some drivers pitting even for softs. Von Lewis, no, Noises AI has stayed out. But many drivers either staying out, either pitting for mediums or pitting for softs. As the only driver who pitted for softs, I think. Actually, two drivers have pitted for mediums. Reggie and Lewis. No, Pete as well has pitted for mediums. The rest who pitted have pitted for the soft tire. So they're, well, obviously everyone wants to go till the end, but it will be just more or less, as Reggie needs to give back the position to Noise. This made my jaw a bit, giving me a bit pain. But my jaw is a bit hurting, but I hope it isn't anything bad. But Williams leading, that's new, since 2012, I believe. No, 14. Sorry, 14. At least 14. At least 14. Because well, Massa had no 15. I can't remember. I think it was 15 actually, but I can't remember. Okay, I can't remember. Shaza up to second, but obviously these three drivers. Well, Noise is an AI, but these two drivers have stayed out and risked it that the safety car is gonna go as long as possible it can go, and praying that the drivers who are on the who have pitted either for mediums or softs, that they're not gonna be that quick, but well, old hards or old mediums compared to newer mediums or newer and fresher softs. But obviously for Lamas and Shaza, there's a buffer for of noise in terms of Reggie, and then in terms of basically the rest of the guys from P6 downwards. There is Noise, Reggie, and Luke. Reggie is gonna either way overtake Lamas and Shaza, I think, or Noise obviously, but then these drivers behind of F1 Lewis, they could be a bit more struggling because of an AI being blocking and going slowly. But I expect in the in the Discord chat to be many arguments, discussions, probably many other things that I don't even know we'll be talking about. As the Sitka is going in, a very late call by Mr. Mailander. So these sides need to be heated up as quickly as possible to make sure that you don't lose any grip whatsoever, or lose as slow as possible. But Lamas still looks not to be going. He's going now, very weirdly, but he's already going. He's kept his first position, but Reggie already obviously overtaken the AI of Noise. F1 is as well overtaken of Luke. But Lamas has kept his first position, but we will see for how much longer. 5 laps remaining in this race, so it's gonna be a sprint till the end. Reggie already trying to look to overtake his own teammate into the turn 6, but he didn't manage to do so. Maybe around the outside of turn 7 he looked for it, but his teammate beautifully defending, maybe not for him, as Reggie has lost the rear out of turn 7, and he has lost 1 place to Lewis. Maybe, no, he's not. He has only lost 1 place, but that has allowed F1 Lewis in the McLaren to be now up to P3 and maybe to try and win this race. But behind him, there's very racy Reggie, who is in the Red Bull, as he looks to be overtaking him, re-overtaking him, going into Stove around the outside, going into Stove. They're still going side by side as ahead. Shaza has, Lamas and Shaza they have spawned, they have collided. That has allowed F1 Lewis to lead for a few seconds, but Reggie already leading. Lewis having a bit of problems, massive crash as well at the back. More crashes as F1 Lewis and Matt have now crashed. What is happening in this preseason race? Why is this so exciting? Why is this more exciting than normal races? Lamas has been disqualified. George is fighting for the P3. He was lost in this race. Now he's fighting for the podium places, but Gravity doesn't have any sort of penalties, while George has 3 of them. And Dietrich as well second, but the same thing happening with him. He has 6 seconds of time penalties. This might be a dreamer for the AlphaTauri team. Reggie will probably just go away. He will probably just dominate this race once again. But we don't care about what is happening at the front with Reggie. We will look at the back, what is happening, because this is exciting. This is even more exciting than the normal races what we saw last season. As George goes up the inside of Dietrich, up in the stove, and he has successfully overtaken him. But Dietrich has more ERS than George. George doesn't have almost any, while Dietrich has more than 40%. George fastest lap 130.199. Matt into the pits, so his race is already ruined, as well as F1 Lewis. These two are already out. Bots are fighting. But Shaza will probably try to at least do something more in this race, but he has more used and harder tires. As Pete overtakes Levy going into the turn 6, and he's successfully done so. Levy has 11 seconds of time penalties, but we will have to remember Gravity has 0 of penalties, completely 0. He has kept this race clean, maybe not exactly clean as he gets a 3 seconds. Why did I talk about it? Commentator curse, I guess. So that has allowed probably George to he'll probably keep his second position. As at the back, what the hell am I doing? As at the back, Shaza has overtaken Jovi. Get these penalties out of the way. Bots are fighting, I don't care about those. Reggie, new fast lap 130 dead. Exactly 130. Dietrich is still looking quite racy to catch up to George. Maybe if George gets another 3 seconds, he could overtake him. But well, he has still the DRS on George. I don't think it will look like it. But as well, Dietrich has to get 3 seconds ahead of Gravity if he wants to stay in the podium, or at least more than 5th. As Levy tries to go on the inside of Pete going into the turn 7 or mid of turn 7, but he had a worse exit than Pete. Gravity is still looking quite nice in this race. Dietrich has lost the DRS on George, so he has to do this right now all in his own talent, pace and skill. Pete has got another 3 seconds, so he's probably out of the podium positions, or at least fighting for so. As Pete's still trying to look to overtake Gravity, but just Gravity seems to be just a tad bit faster, as Shaza is fighting with Levy going into the final corners, and he manages to do so. 2 laps remaining. Could Shaza potentially snatch the podium from Gravity? Matt 3 seconds, but well, Matt and F1 Lewis's race are basically over. But they can hope for... I don't know. I don't actually know for what they could hope for, actually. But as the gap between Gravity and Dietrich doesn't seem to be much improving, but between Dietrich and George, it is getting bigger and bigger. I think bots are fighting. No, now Jovi and Diego are fighting. Sorry, I thought that was again bots, but these are actual people who are fighting. They're going side. Jovi overtook Diego even before even before Cops, so that's a bit good. But they're going almost side by side through Mackes and Beckett's. Diego trying to find some space somewhere, but just can't find it. As Shazza in front is trying to overtake Pete around the outside of Cops. As Reggie in a few moments will start the final lap. Shazza is going up the inside of Pete, going into the final chicanes, but Pete is still trying to fight it. Jovi at the back has spun, but behind Shazza, Libby and Pete are fighting for the P6 position, even though Libby has 11 seconds. But Pete is trying to defend from him, but Libby just seems to have a better pace overall in those actually older softs. But Shazza is trying to look to get that one last podium place, and rob it from Gravity. Reggie, he'll probably win this. I don't think he will do anything stupid into these Mackes and Beckett's and Cops. No, Cops is already done. Stowe and the final few positions. George is probably gonna stay in second. Dietrich, well, Gravity still is. He still has to fight with Shazza. Shazza has the DRS. No, he doesn't actually. He's not activating it. He has not activated the DRS for some reason. But Reggie comes through the final corner and wins the preseason here in Great Britain. George finishes second. Dietrich on track finishes third, but he will finish fifth. Gravity up to P3. Shazza up to P4. Pete 6th, Libby 7th, and Diego finishes 8th. And Jovi, after disappointing race from him, he'll finish 9th. And, well, Noise 10th, but the bots won't get any point. Well, they don't even count. But Matt, after he had a decent pace in this race overall, but just got screwed up by the early safety car, or the safety car that didn't suit him, and then just being at the back. But this was preseason. Well, this is probably more exciting race than actual races. Clap Pete gets the driver of the day. I don't know if it's actually gonna be Pete. I think there's gonna be a vote, and it's gonna be probably Gravity, I would say, since he got a podium. But, well, unfortunately for AlphaTauri and Alpine, those points won't count, as Alpine got 18 points and 8 points, which means 26 points, and AlphaTauri got 15 and 10, which means 25 points, which would have been great for the... Wait, Clapbeat got... Wait, oh. But Clapbeat got driver of the day, while Dietrich went from 18th to 5th, Shazza went from 16th to 4th, and Gravity went from 17th to 3rd. Yes, Pete was 4 times in the pits, but George was 5 times. I don't get it. But this was the pre-season British Grand Prix in Season 4. This is probably more exciting than the other races that I've commentated, maybe. I don't remember. My memory is sometimes just very Very bad. But yeah, just gonna um well, I have nothing to say anything about um I don't have anything to say anything about this race. It was an exciting race already in the preseason. Reggie again looking strong, and will probably win the championship again. But I don't have anything to say honestly. I have honestly nothing to, to say anything about. I'm just and bots have commentated. Beautiful. The bots have commentated. Could I delete them? No, I can't. I can't delete them. But yeah, this was BPRL season 3 preseason in Britain. This was the Wildstorm, and see you guys next week in Bahrain. I think in Bahrain.